Hey, I'm Corwin, and today we're saying goodbye to the Cadillac. Sounds weird, I know. Probably haven't seen it on the channel in a while. Part of that has to do with having two kids under 2, so apologies. But also, I kind of hate this car now. It's always been a little bit of a love-hate, of course. You know, I inherited this car. It's not one that I necessarily ever would have gone out and bought on my own. Obviously, eternally grateful. I'm not complaining about that. It's just that, well, if this car wasn't constantly trying to kill me, maybe I would feel a little bit differently about it. Is that hyperbole? Honestly, I wish I was joking. So longtime viewers of the channel and the astute among you who know about these old cars will have immediately spotted that this is not the original motor. This Cadillac originally, when it rolled off the line, came with a 429 big block. This is not that. This is a small block Chevrolet crate motor that has been jammed in here to fit with the Turbo 400 behind it. Is that a good combo? Hell yeah. The thing moves. I got it to burn rubber the other day, and this car weighs about 5,000 pounds. It's a good motor. The problem is, it's just not a good platform. The thing you have to understand is that for me, this car was always pretty much purely sentimental. My grandfather and I worked on this car a lot. We modified it, we restored parts of it. Obviously, I've done a lot of that here on the channel. So yeah, it holds, you know, a special place in my car heart, but does that mean it's a car that I want? It's just hard to answer. 2012, we drove down to Cruising the Coast, all the way from Weatherford down to Mississippi. And anybody who's ever done anything like that will tell you, getting there is half the fun, and then once you're there, it's just nothing but thrill. This thing backfired when we were cresting over a hill and scared a deer about half to death. We got pulled over drunkenly as we were going back to the hotel, and the cop let us go. Some old lady in a minivan thought she could beat us through a light and didn't, and then got pulled over. We've just had a lot of adventures in this car, and that's really why I didn't want to see it go. You know, when my grandparents moved in to where they are now, the car couldn't go with them, and I just really didn't want it to disappear forever. You know, I wanted to give it a good shot, bring it back to its former glory, and I feel like I've done that. Oh, that's brand new oil. Okay, so let's go down the list then. Right off the bat, first thing I did when I got this car, put the bench seat back in, which didn't work. There's a video on that. Fuel system, the fuel pump. Look at this cute little guy. That came off the car. Put on a brand new, I think it was from Speedway, like 100-gallon thing, an hour unit. The fuel line, the hard line, was rusted out. So I replaced all that with AN stuff, plus a regulator all the way up to the carburetor, which I am now on the third carburetor on this car. The first one that came on it was a Summit 600. It had been neglected and was gross. In fact, I'm actually in the middle of putting this back together, and we'll get to that in a minute. The second carburetor I put on it was this Summit 750, which is what the car was dynoed with, which is why I bought it. Whoa! I've never seen this happen in my life. I went to start this car up after it sat over the winter, and it started running up like it had a vacuum leak. What the hell? Checking everything. Obviously I had dealt with that before, so okay, what could it be? The carb is broken. The body broke off, just sitting here for 3 months. It's like, is it cursed? Is there a demon plaguing this car? It's frustrating nonetheless. So now I've just got a regular old street carburetor on it, and it seems to be running okay. It's not gonna win any drag races, but it's fine. Okay, what else did we do? Window motors all the way around. Those are all fixed. Ow! Fuck! Oh man, that just cut the shit out of me. Gotta go get a Band-Aid. Plus the rubber that seals them together. What else? Radiator, put in a new aluminum radiator, 3-row radiator, that's great. All new front serpentine system on the front, there's a video on that too. Wiring, all of the kind of added accessories, obviously the pump, the fan, that kind of stuff, was all just like, it was bad underneath the dash. I rebuilt off camera because I got so frustrated by it. I resealed the steering box 3 times and the thing would not stop leaking. So it has been replaced by a new unit. They only offered the quick ratio one and it's a little too quick to be honest, but it's okay. It does the job. Plus new power steering lines, new power steering pump. Okay, I got it. I just don't want it to fly off. Gonna work my way around. Ow, stab myself. Whoa, just put a new AC compressor on it, although it needs new lines for the system because it's in a slightly different spot. So the AC is not currently working, but it could very easily, which is on my list. New alternator, all the stuff on the front is brand new water pump. The pan, you guys remember the saga with the pan? That's still looking good, still works. All the front suspension and steering linkage, all good, all still works. You could drive it around. You could drive it around. Anybody, whoever buys this car, could drive it around. Right now, every day, turn the key, fires right up, it's ready to go. My heart is just not in it, and the thing takes up a lot of room in the garage. And I would just rather drive the Falcon, if I'm being totally honest. I hate to see it just sit here, so. No, I didn't think so. Okay, ouch. Bet that was loud. Oh yeah, dump oil all over everything, buddy. Disaster. Disaster has struck. Okay, but you're saying to yourself, Corwin, the car didn't actually try to kill you. Well, I don't think in 1965 Cadillac ever imagined that some idiot in their garage was going to be trying to take this thing apart. I couldn't even compress the spring, and in order to get the spring compressor off, I had to cut it. Obviously the spring let go. It broke my finger, okay? Flashback, a year ago, I had a broken finger. First one ever. And most recently, I don't know how I forgot about this earlier. You guys remember the exhaust leak? Nothing like unspent fuel going straight into your eyes. I finally decided, look, I can't get this thing to run right until I fix the leak because I can't be out here fiddling with the carburetor, asphyxiating myself. So I redid the whole exhaust. It actually turned out great. Block hugger headers down to, I made downpipes merge into one, all the way out the back, over the axle, dump it down. Welded it all up, painted it all up. It actually turned out really, really good. But while I was under the car, I swear to God, it's sentient, and it knew that I was trying to fix it so that I would sell it, and it let go of one of the pipes. Like it was hanging, you know, from the hanger, and the hanger just spit it out. I have no other way to describe it other than it was supernatural. And the pipe fell, hit me in the face, I had a black eye for like 6 weeks. And again, first black eye I've ever had in my life. It's just like, you know, I feel like it would be ignorant of me to take these small signs for granted. You know, how many horror movies have we all watched where something weird happens and the protagonist ignores it because, oh, it's just coincidence? Not me. Not me, man. You live your whole life cursed, you start to recognize these things pretty immediately. Look, I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you and say I'm not a little sad to see the car go. It was really my first, well, I had the Falcon, the old Falcon before, but really it was kind of my first big boy car, if you will. I learned a lot on this car. You know, it'll always hold a special place in my history of automobiles. You know, it's the one that started it all. It started this channel even, you know. I had so much fun working on it at the start, mostly because I was ignorant of what it was like to work on a car that wasn't completely f***ed. Probably shouldn't say that kind of stuff. Regardless, I felt like, you know, maybe I owed it to myself. Maybe I owed it to all of you guys. Good Lord, this thing takes a lot of oil, I swear. To just give it, you know, one last hurrah before I put it on a raft and shoot a flaming arrow at it as it goes over the waterfall. don't Hercules it this time, buddy. Okay, take 2. There we go. You gotta understand, I'm really not trying to complain. For instance, okay? You know, I mentioned the AC earlier. It's all here, and it's already been converted to a, what do they call it? Recycling clutch system, which is great. The problem is the way these Cadillacs were set up from factory is just how we do it today. You set the temperature you want, and then it adjusts the blend door via a vacuum and an ambient temperature sensor on the inside of the car. That's great. When all that stuff is still there, this one guy on the forums wrote like basically a whole damn dissertation on how to get that system to work. So it's not easy to begin with, and it's certainly not easy when the person that put this motor in ripped all that shit out in order to make this work. Hooking up the compressor, it just blows cold, you know, and then you set the fan speed just like a normal everyday classic car. That means you get no heat because there's no way to control the blend door from the inside of the car. So it's somebody else's problem. I'll put it that way. Honestly, it's little stuff like that that happens way more often than not that makes you just lose the fun of working on the car. Yeah, at this point, it honestly sounds like I'm trying to justify this to myself, which maybe I am, you know? Maybe that's part of why I decided to make this video. When you get to be a dad, and when you get to be an old ass, there's only so many hours in the day that you can devote to having fun and doing what you love and having a hobby. It's not worth it for me to devote my hours to this car anymore, you know? Yeah, I guess that's it.